Imagine this, you get paid and there's no chunk missing for income tax. More money for pizza, video games, whatever you like. This is the dream, right? But wait, how would the government pay for stuff? Governments need money to operate. They build roads, pay teachers and fund healthcare. Income tax is their biggest cash cow. So no income tax means a big problem. But don't panic just yet. There are other ways for governments to make money. They could tax what you buy instead of what you earn. Interesting. Let's face it, running a country is expensive. Governments need a constant flow of cash to keep things running smoothly. Think of it like a giant ATM. Money goes in, services come out. Income tax has been the go-to solution for ages. It's like a subscription fee for living in a country. You work, you pay, you get stuff. But relying solely on income tax has its downsides. It can discourage people from working hard if they feel like they're giving too much away. So if not income tax, then what? Let's explore some alternative ways governments could finance themselves without draining our paychecks dry. One option is to shift the tax burden from what you earn to what you buy. This is where things like value-added tax, VAT, and sales tax come in. Imagine buying a new phone. With VAT, a little extra gets added to the price at every stage. Manufacturing, shipping, selling. Sales tax is simpler. It's just an extra percentage tacked onto the final price tag. Think of it like a mini toll booth at the checkout counter. These taxes might sound sneaky, but they can actually be fairer than income tax. Why? Because they target everyone who spends money, not just those who earn it. More on that later. Now the big question, if governments aren't raking in cash from income tax, what happens to essential services? Will schools turn into ghost towns and hospitals into dusty relics? It's a valid concern. Public services rely heavily on government funding. Without income tax, finding alternative revenue streams becomes crucial. Governments would need to get creative. Maybe they could tax luxury goods more heavily, like fancy cars and diamond shoes, or perhaps they could introduce taxes on pollution or resource consumption. The possibilities are endless. The key is to replace income tax revenue without sacrificing vital public services. Section 5. Rich get richer, poor get. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How would a world without income tax affect different income groups? For the wealthy, it could be a dream come true. More money to hoard in their Scrooge McDuck vaults. But for low-income earners, it could be a different story. They might end up paying a higher percentage of their income through consumption taxes, even if those taxes are technically applied equally to everyone. This is where things get tricky. Governments would need to implement policies to ensure fairness and prevent widening the gap between the rich and the poor. Believe it or not, there are historical examples of societies that thrived without income tax. Take the United Arab Emirates, for example. They generate most of their revenue from oil and gas exports, not income tax. And then there's Monaco, the playground of the rich and famous. They don't have income tax either, relying instead on tourism and taxes on businesses. These examples show that ditching income tax isn't a crazy idea. It's definitely doable, but it requires careful planning and alternative revenue sources. So what's the verdict? Is a world without income tax a utopia or a recipe for disaster? On the plus side, it could boost economic growth by encouraging people to work, invest, and spend more freely. It could also simplify the tax system, making life easier for everyone, except maybe accountants. However, there are downsides too. It could lead to underfunded public services and exacerbate income inequality if not managed carefully. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. Ultimately, the success of a world without income tax hinges on finding alternative revenue streams that are both efficient and equitable. It requires careful planning, a bit of creativity, and a commitment to fairness. Maybe it's time to rethink our current tax systems and explore new possibilities. After all, the world is changing, and so should our approach to taxation. We've explored the ins and outs of a world without income tax, from alternative revenue sources to the potential impact on different income groups. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's definitely worth considering. So, the next time you see that chunk missing from your paycheck, remember there might be a different way. That's our show for tonight. See you next week.